from detention. All right, they're going police arrest man for selling 5-year-old baby for 1.5 million naira. Activist Abiodun Aremu is dead. All right, the story is there on page 6. We also have other stories on page 7. Nigeria at 65. Manufacturers highlight major pain points. The story is there. All right, Dangote Cement secures integrated management certification. UK steel industry is set for worst crisis as EU hike tariff. All right, let's go to some other stories that made the headline this morning. Asushon FG insists on strike over unresolved demand. Ex-presidential aspirant Faduri to Umahi respect diaspora investors' effort. All right, let's go to page 12. How Abacha's military junta killed Ogoni 4 and Ogoni 9. That's coming from Falana. Emergency rule. Court sets October 31st for ruling. Suspected thugs attack local government chair over traffic enforcement in Edo. All right, AFCC declares war on tax cheats, illegal trade practices. 100 billion loans spark war of words between Ally Autumn in Benue State. And of course, 2027 INEC 6 legal amendments to allow early voting for security agents, essential workers. Still on the same page, Councillor empowers constituents to mark 1 year in office. All right, of course, on the Viewpoint page, you have Senior Advocate of Non-Consequence at SAN. All right, that story is on page 17. We'll go on a commercial break, and when we come back, we'll take other stories from the Vanguard newspaper. Stay with us.
When malaria knocks you down, you can be sure parasites are having a party in your system.
Welcome to our new kingdom, guys!
Comel, an effective weapon against malaria. Attacking the parasite army directly to give you express relief and get you back on your feet effectively. Comel on. Malaria gone.
Want to know what's coming, guys? The free beach ball! I guess I'd better start again. Oh, here we go, everybody. Free beach ball! Yes, guys, there's a free beach ball in every carton of Capri Sun. Get a carton, get a ball. It's time to play some more. Way! Capri Sun. The taste of fun.
Guys, food is ready.
Suitable for jollof rice, stew, spaghetti, and yam portage. Cooked to impress.
In today's fast-paced world, staying ahead demands peak performance from our bodies.
Like never before, our bodies need an optimum supply of essential nutrients, and Supermalt supports our daily nutritional needs.
Supermalt has 20 essential vitamins, minerals, and natural extracts for overall health and wellness. One Supermalt a day gives you energy and vitality, improves your mental performance, and supports your immunity.
When you're low on energy and need a break, give yourself a treat. Cadbury Hot Chocolate. Smooth. Crafted from cocoa, milk, and sugar. Creamy. Chocolatey. Frothy goodness. Rich taste. So satisfying.
Cadbury 3-in-1 Hot Chocolate. The treat you deserve.
All right, welcome back. All right, we'll be taking more stories from the Vanguard newspapers. And on page 28, PENCOM deepens ties with judiciary. AI won't threaten workers' retirement. That's coming from PENCOM. All right, we will never owe pensioners again. Adeleke vows. All right, on page 29, reflection, reinvention, and winning at 65. A field note for Nigeria's next chapter. All right, we'll go to some other pages of the newspaper, the Vanguard newspaper, of this morning. A lot of advertorial this morning. All right, I'll go to page 40. Obi of Onitsha enters seclusion ahead of Ofala Festival. Our World Mental Health Day, NASDEC's lead campaign to end stigma in Nigeria. Our outcome partners, NBA to deepen advertising law. IMO graduates 10,000 youth in digital skill unveils Malpo Act. All right, consumer Hull TV sets to fight for Nigeria. And we'll come to page 42, where we have SecDG to CRSA build credit rating culture to reflect local realities. All right, we'll go straight to take some sports story there. 2026 World Cup qualifier. Benin can't escape Nigeria's. That's coming from Bafana captain. Nigeria farm won Muabali as he arrives Uyo. Right, we are ready to stop South Africa. That's coming from the Rwanda coach 2026 WCQ. All right, 2026 World Cup playoff. CAF confirms Morocco as host. 2026 World Cup qualifier. We are in Uyo to shock Super Eagles. That's coming from Benin captain. All right, of course, and we'll take all the sports story on the back page. Super Eagles finally arrive Uyo after emergency landing in Angola. Benin arrive on Saturday. Ghana 1-0 Comoros Black Stars qualifier for World Cup. You have we're in Uyo to shock Super Eagles, Benin captain. All right, that's as much as we have this morning from the Vanguard newspaper. We'll go on a break, and when we come back, of course, we'll be sharing with you the weather report, and we'll go to our interview segment. Stay with us, don't go away. Thank you for staying tuned.
Thank you very much for staying with us. Yes, it's still AM120, and this morning we are looking at the hurdles before the new INEC boss. We remember last week he was nominated by the president to be the new INEC boss, and the new chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Joash Ojuamopiton, faces a tough test in repositioning a commission that is dogged by controversy, low voter confidence, and credibility issues over the years. Amupiton, a professor of law at the University of Jos, hails from Kogi State and brings decades of legal and academic experience to the role. INEC's conduct of the 2023 general election was below expectations of many Nigerians and calls for the commission reform, including holistic amendment to the Electoral Act, has intensified ahead of the 2027 general election. Talking of the expectations, expected of the new INEC boss, to do justice to that topic this morning, we have an associate professor of political science, Dr. Stephen Lafenwa. Welcome, Doctor.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much for coming.
Good morning, Nigerians.
All right, Doctor. So, with the nomination of the new INEC boss, I think I should ask what your first reaction is, towards his nomination, considering the fact that, yes, another professor assuming the office.
One, I was not surprised because even a month before his nomination was confirmed by the National Executive Council, we've already seen him. People are already posting his picture and profile on this thing that meet your new INEC chairman, which is, to me, what is the big deal? Two, I'm very, very surprised that we have already missed another opportunity to do what is right.
And what opportunity is that?
It has to do with getting it right when it comes to, electoral water system in Nigeria. You remember the first president that we mentioned, clearly, the problems that we are having with our electoral system is late President Yaradua. He came in and he said, this election that brought me into power was seriously flawed. And he took a drastic step to ensure that those anomalies, were corrected. He set up a committee led by Justice, who is also dead, to review our electoral processes, electoral system and everything, and come out with recommendations. And he came out with a recommendation. One of the recommendations has to do with how to select a neutral person to man, INEC.
And that has not been done.
So
now you said earlier, you said we've just missed another opportunity of getting it right. So I want you to tell us, are you saying the appointment or the nomination of Professor Amupiton is wrong? Or what do you mean by missing another opportunity of getting it right?
There are two things now. One, the nomination of Professor Amupiton, I'm not, whatever. But the process that led to his nomination is what I'm questioning.
Okay, Doctor, I think you should put us through the process of nominating a new INEC boss.
One thing, what we have now is that the president has the power to nominate, and the National Assembly has the power to confirm. Even before the confirmation, they have been addressing him as the new INEC chairman. So, preempting that whatever they discuss, whatever the screening process outcome is going to be what? The next of this thing. And that is even abusing the power of another organ of government. Because until you can say, okay, the nominated person, you cannot talk about being a new INEC chairman. Because until the National Assembly approved that nomination by National Assembly.
So are you saying the screening is just an official statement? There's really not going to be a scrutiny of the person.
People already, they've known our National Assembly to be what they are. They've already said it that anywhere, anything that is brought from the federal government or the executive, they are going to what? Rubber stamp or whatever. And one thing about the process is that what was suggested by Justice Wade Electoral Reform Committee is against what we are doing now. That's why I say I'm not.
Okay, so let's.
I'm not so comfortable.
Let's begin from Ways Committee that you mentioned.
Yeah.
What do we have in the Ways report?
It talks about setting up a National Judicial Council. With members of critical stakeholders getting involved in the nomination, screening, and confirmation of appointment of this thing. These are neutral body. Let me give you a scenario. Let me create that scenario for you. I'm a Chelsea, a fan. And I don't know whether you are Arsenal or Man U. We are going to have a match. And Chelsea is now saying, oh, our coach will be the referee. What do you expect? Even if that coach will be neutral, and conduct, his activity according to the law, we will not. Nobody. Man, you will say, mba.
But
okay,
Doctor,
I'm glad you went.
Yeah.
I'm glad you went the sport way.
Yeah.
The sporting way.
Yeah.
But let's come back to the issue of electoral process.
Yes.
Now, I'd like us to look at it, the antecedent of the person who had been appointed. And vis-a-vis when Professor Mahmoud Yakub was also appointed. When he was appointed, was he also addressed as the INEC chairman immediately before going to the National Assembly?
Yeah, most of the times, people believe that whatever the executive does is final, because we don't have a vibrant, assertive, National Assembly. Look at the case of Rivers State. People were thinking that, the National Assembly will reject, the state of emergency declared by the president. Instead of conducting, the vote the way it's supposed to be conducted, the man conducted the voice vote. And so all of them, once the Mr. President has nominated any person, they declare the person as what?
But Doctor, let's also look at it from the angle of the Constitution now, based on qualification that was stated clearly in the Constitution. Because I said, I know you mentioned earlier that you referred to the committee set up by the late President Yaradua. But according to the Constitution, there are just 3 qualifications. And talking of, you must not be below 40 years, you must be a non-partisan person, and a person of impeccable integrity, which has been outlined already. These attributes have been said to have been, embodied by the new INEC chair. But before you answer that question, Doctor, we have a commercial break. I will be right back. Please stay with us.
Imagine lovely meals you can cook with these ingredients. You spend heavily, but no guarantee of a tasty meal. Not making a right choice of seasoning cube can ruin your meal, money, and confidence. For a tasty meal, do not compromise. Choose Gold.
Use Terra Gold for the rich, consistent taste your loved ones crave for. Good for soups, stews, and jollof. Terra Gold. 1 cube, endless possibilities.
Guys, food is ready.
Suitable for jollof rice, stew, spaghetti, and yam portage. Cook to impress.
All right, thank you very much for staying with us. Doctor, before we went on that break, we're talking about the qualification by
the Constitution,
stated by the Constitution. So now, are you saying the president nominating a candidate himself is wrong?
What the Constitution says, they are followed. But we are saying that the Constitution, already has a problem that have been identified before. But instead of correcting the anomaly, the problem, resolving the issues, we are now following what suits us. And I will not blame President Tinubu, because others before him did the same thing. Even Professor Jega was a member of that committee that recommended all those things I've mentioned before. But before, they knew the implication of following that route. And that's why they picked one of them, Jega, to be. And when they interviewed him, they asked him, you are one of the members of this committee that recommended this. He said, now they are following the constitution. That he was elected or he was nominated on the basis of what constitution says. And it's all right. And all those things you mentioned, they are subjective criteria. Men of impeccable. It's what ought to. You understand? We don't expect them to put, they say that, oh, somebody that is not is not of a good character.
But
you are talking about
objectivity now. What criteria is it supposed to be?
You cannot be, a judge in your own case. We have a sitting president, who will seek for re-election. Now nominating somebody who will oversee the conduct of that election. It is not moral, it is amoral.
Okay.
It is legally right. That is what the constitutional says. And I'm not saying the personality of the professor is very sound because of what people have said about him. But when you talk about the system is faulty.
Okay, now, you'd agree with me that it was also a president that nominated the INEC chairman that brought to President Muhammadu Buhari, late President
Yes, Mahmoud Yakub.
And you would agree with me that one would have expected that the same president who contested would have won that election.
That's Jonathan.
It was his administration with Yaradua.
There are a lot of issues that have to do with Jonathan losing the election. And he made a statement which we have to consider. He said he does not consider, his ambition so too big to sacrifice Nigerians.
That's the point.
And here, there are other anomalies discovered there. If I go and read the report of all the electoral observers and monitors, it was stated clearly that we are facing with systemic problems that have challenged, the conduct of credible, free and fair, all-inclusive election. But because President Jonathan wanted peace, and he already signed, that peace pact, and he knew the consequence, of violating the peace pact, because it had happened to a president before in Ivory Coast. They try him and they find him culpable by the international, criminal court.
So, Doctor, the point that I'm trying to make here is the fact that if the system brings up a person who is credible, who is patriotic, who loves this nation, it might just be getting it right and be on the path to success.
It is not the system that is throwing up this INEC chairman. It is personality. It is a government.
Does the government,
it's not the system.
Does the president not have a right to?
He had the right. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying the right. But the right system in order, Senate claims is that you have a neutral body that we nominate and select and appoint, the chairman.
Can we begin to look at some of the challenges before the INEC chairman in waiting? So perhaps, if all things being equal, eventually emerges as the INEC chairman.
What do you mean by all things being equal?
No, I'm going to put it that way.
Somebody that will assume the duty very soon.
Well, until he assumes, let's look at the challenges that are facing. What are the challenges that you think are coming up before him that is likely to face?
The first problem is lack of confidence, declining trust. Public trust. Every election that we have been conducting for the past 26 years has been, fraught, with so many challenges. And all these things have contributed to, one, low voter turnout. Two, loss of public confidence in the outcome of the election. Three, you are talking about increasing number of litigation after election. To the extent that people have tagged this democracy that we are operating now as democracy by court order. No, mention any of the elections that the outcome of elections, as decided, was taken as the final. He has to go to court. And he's telling us two things. One, people still believe in the court system, Abi. But he's telling on the credibility of those who are saddled with responsibility to conduct election. You understand? Because when your this thing is to produce this program, when the program is not, adjudged as what, being good, you have to do something. Imagine people after the election go to court. Even at the local government level, they still go to court. At the state level, they go to court. The last general election, in fact, it ended in court. It was the Supreme Court decision that people, and that's why we are not having any crisis. It was not because of the result declared by INEC. It was the verdict of the court that people obeyed. Go to Anambra, go to Edo, go to Ekiti, go to whatever. You will see everybody want to go to court. It's good for our democracy because
what is encouraging people, to go to court after elections? What is it?
It is, one, I have said it, they trust in the court system that, okay, we don't want to fight, we don't want to truncate democracy, let's go and resolve it. And the law allows that. But it's telling on the credibility because what the major priority of INEC is to conduct credible, free and fair, inclusive election. Look at all other elections, even in African countries. How many of them ended what in court? We know some of them also ended in court. It is not something that is uncalled for after 26 years. Unbroken democratic rule. We are still having, court judgment deciding. That's why people are losing confidence. Because they know that eventually they will go to court. And somebody we have seen, a candidate who did not even participate in the process, that eventually declared the winner. We have seen somebody that came fourth, becoming the first. What else do you want people to do? When you know that at the end of the day your vote will not count, it is the court decision that will that will overrule whatever you have done. So
okay, doctor, still talking about the challenges facing the new nominated INEC chairman. I want us to look at the issue of financial autonomy now. Regarding the commission, they solely rely on the federal government allocation. And
they already even put it in there.
And so at this point, because now we're talking about transparency and declining public trust, just as you said, for a commission, for a body who solely rely on what comes from the federal, how do you they should start, putting heads together to make sure they are financially autonomous?
I've talked about the systemic problem that we are facing with. INEC should be an agency or a commission that will be receiving, is a fund on the first line work charges. Like the legislature is receiving. Like the executive, they allocate, there should not be an extension of the executive. But because the process of even nominating the INEC chairman, constituting the national commissioners, resident commissioners, flows from the executive, flows from the federal government. So what do you expect? In fact, I read their strategic plan document for 2022 to 2026. They said INEC, the commission, will continue to rely, for funding of its core activities on government.
So there is need for an amendment.
So that's why, there is need for us to reform the system. And most of the electoral act that, that we came up with after those elections, they are not sufficient enough because there is no, way those who are benefiting from the system will allow, the system to change. And that was why Areba Afewalola SAN, advised us that before we conduct that, before the conduct of that 2023 election, general election, he said, let us clear resolve those gray areas. Let us resolve the fundamental problems, challenging, the electoral system. We refuse. He said there should not be a vacuum because most of them, their tenure will have ended. And that will have given a platform for a neutral body to carry out the reform But the politicians were in a haste to get that mandate again. And now they have gotten the mandate. You can see what is happening. People also, they don't have confidence in what they are doing again not because of what INEC is doing, but because of what those people that they have elected. You understand? They promise them too much, but they deliver what little or nothing. And that's why some people say, okay, why am I, why should I continue to what? Participate in voting this thing? Exercise.
Okay,
So,
still regarding the issue of funding, whether we consider the amendment or not, if the funds come from the front line, there should also be a body that will oversee the spending of INEC. Have we also put that in place?
In every organization, every public organization, we have auditing the auditing system. You understand? And they have all those financial accountants who we give account of what they are doing. But the problem that we have is that we have an INEC that not only will rely on government, but rely on individuals to provide certain funds in order to carry out its what?
Can you expatiate on that?
Let me say, because I have worked for them before. Some of them approach governors. Some of them approach individuals. Because when they don't get, not only about even getting the funding from the federal government, inadequate funding. And some people that think that, let us assist INEC, they have been doing so. There was an experience I had when I was serving as a supervisory presiding officer. These political party members, agents, they came. They said, they will provide me a vehicle because INEC didn't provide a vehicle for me. So I now, as a professional, I know it was not right. Because inside the car, they will be discussing so many issues that you will not be able to to control. So I said, no, don't worry, I'm fine. So I prefer to even to trek or get other public, other means to transport myself. The next day, they brought food for our field officers. They knew their names. They put their name on top of the food, on top of the pack of the food, and they were starting. I said, I want those, presiding officers. If you do otherwise, it's either you kill yourself because you don't even know what they put in the food, and two, you may implicate yourself. Why will you eat? Because they didn't provide their food for them, and it is after they have finished their assignment that they will give them their money.
Okay, that's what. So that takes us to the logistics.
The logistics
challenges. You've gone there already. Let's look at the logistics
problems
challenges.
are too many, too numerous. Some deliberate, some maybe we can say that due to nature.
Can we mention them?
When you talk about terrain, there are difficult terrains, particularly the riverine areas. There was a time I was asked to go and collect results at Ilaje Eshodu. And they told me that it will take me 3 hours on the high sea.
To get there.
Let's
quickly go on this commercial break. When we come back, we'll delve into the Ilaje story. Stay with us.
Good, tasty food is worth living for. Worried about your oil every time you enjoy your favorite meal? Introducing Smart Balance. Smart Balance rice bran oil is rich in gamma-oryzanol. Several studies suggest that gamma-oryzanol may contribute to the reduction of bad cholesterol. Golden Terra Smart Balance oil. Good food, no worries.
What wakes you up in the morning? Is it the sunrise? Is it the alarm? No. It's your dream that wakes you every day. It's what drives you like a powerful engine. That's why you start strong every day with a rich, creamy taste of Nescafe Original 3-in-1. Carefully crafted from selected coffee beans. You are on your hustle, and you won't stop until you succeed. Start strong Finish strong.
TerraCube. Unwrap joy. Unleash taste.
All right, welcome back. It's still AM120 on the Broadcasting Corporation for your state. We still have Dr. Stephen Lafenwa, who is an associate professor of political science, here with us. And of course, before we went on that break, he was sharing this with us, his experience while going to
Ilaje.
Ilaje.
You know, we're supposed to be transported there, you know, daytime. But they didn't make any provision. Professors were lying down on the roadside, you know, waiting for the bus. The bus eventually came around 1 a.m. to take us to Ilaje Sodo. And we now said, okay, where is the security? They said, oh, we don't have security. We should travel from Akure, you know, to Ilaje Sodo without any security. And you know, they imposed a curfew and all those things. So we agreed. On the road, we now said, the police, okay, they gave us a police officer. And I said, this man, you are not, it's like you are not even interested in our safety. He said he can kill all of us and nothing will happen. The man put, you know, it's a pullover on his uniform. So we can see, he said, can you see my name? Do you know my name? Do you know me? And we just begged him. And he said, they have not even given me a dime. And has been working for INEC for the past 4 days.
Wow.
So when we eventually got there, we asked the guy, what are the provisions for us? I even asked him, have you been to that Ilaje before? He said, I never entered that place. And he wanted us to go there. And the report we were hearing that there were gunshots. You know, where will you fly to? Where will you run to? On the IC. And we said, let them bring the result we collect here in your office. We are not going anywhere else. The man declined. And we said, fine. We are not going to work. We can't kill ourselves. I will not sacrifice what I labor for the past 30 years on the high sea for 35,000 naira. You understand? These are some of the things, apart from that, opening the polling booth early has been a problem. And that's one of the, deliberate attempts at times to rig election. Because it is stated, you must open the polling booth by 8 a.m. or 8:30, thereabout. The last election, I went to vote at Akobo during there. In fact, I called some radio stations and whatever to inform them that as at 11 o'clock, no official was sighted there.
In Akobo,
here.
It's not even necessary.
No, it's not necessary. This
ferry.
Akobo during, people can testify to that. We were calling everywhere before they eventually, they said one bus was hired to be, distributing materials and also taking the ad hoc officers to their whatever.
Just one
right from Akinyele down to Akobo. Imagine. You understand? And they say by 2:30 or 2 o'clock, they're supposed to close the exercise. They end the exercise.
Doctor, looking at all these challenges and major problems facing the commission now. We also have major elections coming up.
Jega, left behind. He inherited both the liability and whatever.
The assets.
So what is going to happen now is that one, after studying the document, you need to have critical stakeholder meetings in all the geopolitical zones. Because what we want in Southwest may not be what they are looking for. And it's supposed to be the one to unite everybody that, this is what the law says. What can we do within the ambit of the law to rescue, the already damaged situation?
Okay.
So if not, if, he's not going to do that, he should go and study the Justice Uwe's, electoral committee what report and see what he can do. But let me tell you, some of these things I have mentioned, it has to do with electoral had been, being amended.
Okay, let me take you through some of the highlights. Now, you have stylishly mentioned the insecurity.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's
and protection of
the ad hoc officials, even security of INEC infrastructure.
Yes,
and facilities.
And unavailability of movement of materials, both sensitive and non-sensitive materials.
Yes.
And, when you did that narrative...
And adequate compensation of those who are involved in the...
Now, one would have thought that payment of those doing this work should have been done before the assignment.
In fact, even if they can give them half of the money, you understand? And you are going to be they should be transparent. Not only in the giving them their money or whatever, even in the recruitment of ad hoc staff. There are times they will recruit ad hoc staff. They will put their name there. On the election day, you will see another set of people. They've been replaced.
Challenge.
Yeah, another challenge. And we don't know each other until we get to the field.
Okay, so another thing I observe is the fact that before people are given assignments, they should have gone on a visit ahead, especially in terrains where they are not familiar.
Yeah, most of the times, they won't allow you to do that. You will be waiting at their the rack center, the regional area centers, waiting for the materials and waiting for the necessary word instruction. There was a time, I went ahead a day before. I asked the electoral officer, where will I stay? He said they don't have any provision for me. So I secured an hotel accommodation for myself.
Over 35,000.
I'm telling you, yes. So I got accommodation for myself. I fed myself.
As a patriotic Nigerian.
Yeah, I know, because apart from even engaging myself in all those things, we are also conducting our research. We want to find out what is happening on the field. Because you don't get involved, you may not be able to understand, all those things that are going on. The problem that we have may not be that of the INEC chairman. Let you look at the issue of vote buy now, which is now rampant. It's not the INEC chairman that will resolve that issue. Because it has to do with the state of our economy and the mindset of us or some people. How will you do that? How will INEC chairman arrange that situation? And when you talk about insecurity, it's not insecurity caused by the people that want to vote, the voters. But bandits, you are talking about terrorists, attacks. How will you rescue that? How will INEC chairman do that? Without corroborating and without strong political will from those critical stakeholders, the security personnel.
All right, Doctor. Let's look at the issue of IREF now. We saw what happened in the last general election with the previous chairman of INEC. Do you think this chairman or this nominated chairman, do you think he can actually do something about it where would go fully digital and all election results would be uploaded and transmitted for all to see? But before you answer that question, Doctor, we have a commercial break. We'll be right back.
Sonia, tomato mix, stand up. Is it to open? Is it to squeeze? Is it to scoop? And is it to stir? Dishes come alive with so much taste. Sonia, tomato mix, of course. Sonia, tomato mix, yes sir. Sonia, tomato mix, stand up.
I'm in love. No, but with you, of course, my darling.
Sonia tomato mix in a new stand-up pouch.
TerraCube is available in beef, chicken, jollof, and crayfish flavors in 50 cubes Saver Pack and 100 cubes Super Saver Pack.
TerraCube. Unwrap joy. Unleash taste.
Natural sun-ripened yellow corn. Individually whole-flaked to preserve its natural goodness. That's what makes Nasco cornflakes truly whole-flaked. Enjoy the tasty, crunchy, and nutritious Nasco cornflakes.
When malaria knocks you down, you can be sure parasites are having a party in your system.
Welcome to our new kingdom, guys!
Comel, an effective weapon against malaria. Attacking the parasite army directly to give you express relief and get you back on your feet effectively. Comel on. Malaria gone.
All right, thank you for staying with us. Doctor,
Yeah. These were
we're talking about IREV. Yes.
IREV, even not only IREV, beavers, you know.
Yeah, do you think this current chairman can correct the wrongs?
Yeah, you know, one, technology does not build trust. People do. It has to do with the readiness on the part of INEC chairman to do the right thing, not what he likes. And he should be ready to leave at any point in time he discovers that there are undue executive political interferences. If he's not ready to leave, he will compromise. But if you are ready, as for me, if I'm in the shoe now, I will write my resignation letter and put it in the central bank. So anytime there is any, I will just go there, sign and give it to them and leave.
Okay, so
because there are a lot of issues that he is not able to resolve.
Doctor, and these issues we are talking about is not just it didn't just start with this administration.
Yeah, I know.
Now, what should he do differently now from Yakubu that left?
Yeah, I think the technologies are there. Let him improve on the technology. Deploy what you know you are going to deploy on the day of election. And make sure you test the technology. You know, technology is not something that you'll be hiding. You understand? Oh, we are going to use IREV. Let us see it, display it. Let people know the nitty-gritty about how to operate and what will be the outcome of that technology. Not that on that day, we now begin to have technical work glitches everywhere. It is not, what Nigerians are looking for. What Nigerians are looking for is that, let this man be open, transparent, and be ready to defend his action and his inactions. Not somebody that will just remain silent, like Professor Yakubu. He will remain silent. I will not even talk. Not know that becoming silent on whatever on some issues. People will have concluded in their heart that you are also culpable. What is very clear now is that this man needs the support of every Nigerian, particularly the critical stakeholder. One, the security agencies. Two, you are talking about media, because you have to communicate. And we also need to educate the potential voters. Lastly, the voter register they have should be they have to do something about it. They have to clean this thing. Because imagine somebody, you are telling us that 98.3 registered to vote, 87 million collected their cards, and at the end, less than 25 million turned up to vote.
Okay,
that shows that there is something wrong with that register. And I will not support continuous voter registration. 2002, they conducted the voter registration. They cleaned that register. 2007, the same thing. 2011, the same thing. But under Yakub, he continued with continuous voters registration. You should not. And they should encourage the youth. What are they going to do? When you reach 18, go and report yourself. When you register, they give you a gift. And they give you a reward. So that we encourage other youth. What we need young ones in our politics. Not that we just discourage them. Because when you say that, okay, they should go there and do registration. Are you going to give them money? Are you going to provide transport for them? These are some of the things they do in other climes to encourage what potential what young
Doctor,
voters.
before we let you go this morning, I just want to ask, why are we going into the academic environment to pick INEC chairman? We've had Professor Maurice Iwu, we've had Professor Tairu Jega, we've had Professor Mahmoud Yakub, the past one, and now another professor. Is there a change we are looking for that we feel like it's going to come from the academic
we are talking about knowledge, academic knowledge, technical work, expertise, and whatever, we have them. But the problem that we have is that we don't have the political leaders that have that strong will to carry out those reforms that we are expecting. I'm not saying that they should continue to be asking professors to come and be the chair of the INEC. But one thing that is very clear is that Jega did very well. And Yakub has done his own work, whatever this thing. And none of the report of the electoral observers and whatever monitors have indicted any of these leaders. But the problem has to do with the system. They all point our attention to that systemic failure. And why can't we have that develop that strong political will to address the systemic failure once and for all?
Okay. Thank you very much. We'd like to say a big thank you to our guest, our first guest this morning on AM120. Dr. Stephen Lafenwa, who is an associate professor of political science. Thank you very much for joining us this morning on the program. Of course, we'll go on a break, and when we come back, our second guest will be joining us. Stay tuned.
In today's fast-paced world, staying ahead
Welcome back. It's still AM120 on the Broadcasting Corporation of your state. Of course, this morning we're still discussing hurdles before the new INEC chairman, and we're waiting for his final announcement. But of course, in looking at the conversation, our second guest this morning is Barrister Olufemi Adeniton. He is a lawyer, political scientist, and international relations expert. You're welcome to the program this morning.
Thank you so
And it's good to have you again.
Yeah, it's good to have you too. Yeah.
Yes. All right. So, of course, before you came on, we had Dr. Stephen Lafenwa, and we looked at several areas, challenges that will wait the new INEC boss. But again, let's look at your view. When you heard his name be mentioned, what came to mind?
Okay, so thank you very much for the opportunity to speak on this issue, right? So when I got the news, like he's been Josh Ojo Amopiton, I was like, he came to me as like, oh yes, we have now a legal luminary, someone who is vast in terms of the law of evidence and corporate governance, and someone who understands issues around elections, right? So he's been in the business around law, around institutional organization, in his current position that he holds in the University of Jos, right? So he's moved across the rank and file, right? So it comes to a lot of experience, not just as a lawyer, but as someone who has sat as a former dean of the University of Jos Faculty of Law, and also someone who is the deputy vice chancellor of the same university, right? So it speaks volume, like you have someone now from the legal background who understand the technicalities of lawyers, right? Who understand what the challenges faced with the current issues around why do politicians always go to court, right? So with the intention now for us to have someone of his caliber to be appointed in this position, right? It speaks that we might see a reduction in terms of court cases, in terms of election petition, because it's going to cover some of those loopholes. Hopefully, because it comes with a lot of credibility. So far, there's not been anything that dents his image as anything that's been proven to have dent his image to be someone who has issues around character issues, right? So, but so far, in general, we will say that from the look of things and the optics so far, he seems to be like one of the best Nigerian.
But talking about his background as a lawyer, SAN, and his managerial positions he has held so far, do you think those are attributes enough for him to hold that particular office and, of course, excel?
Yeah. Okay. So this is very interesting question you've asked. The most important thing when talking about an office as sensitive as that, you are going to look at the pedigree. On which criteria do you put someone in such sensitive position, right? So you need someone for the ease of reference who understands the challenges that comes with elections and issues around why do we have recurring court cases, right? And also for those defaulters, right, who in many occasions do engage in various forms of electoral fraud and all of that, is someone that comes with the experience to be able to cover those lapses. So it comes with the experience as an SAN, someone who has attained one of the highest height in terms of as a practicing lawyer, and someone who is very vast in terms of his write-ups. If you look at on Google Scholar, you see that he has numerous publication on evidence of corporate governance. This speaks volume to the caliber or the credibility of the new INEC boss, right? So it's going to be like a complete shift from the previous INEC chairman, whom left the system with so much concerns among Nigerians, and it's despite the youth's conscious effort in terms of participating in political affairs and electoral processes. The hope became dashed due to the 2023 last completed elections, right? So at least from the new appointment of the INEC chairman, it tends to be enforces hope, it enforces confidence, right?
Okay, now you've expressed how you feel as a legal practitioner and based on the knowledge, your knowledge of him.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Now let's look at the challenges that we have had in our electioneering process in Nigeria. Professor Dr. Lafewa, before he left, was sharing an experience of the level of unpreparedness by the commission to provide logistics for ad hoc staff, for all the persons concerned, including security agencies. Now, and the election he talked about was an isolated election. I've also covered isolated elections, and one would have thought that all manpower resources would have been put there to ensure that it is itch-free. Unfortunately, it continues. Now, how do you think a person of his, in character or his personality can manage electoral logistics to avoid inconclusive election, to avoid postponement of election?
Okay, yeah, so again, it's very interesting. It's very good that we have someone of his caliber whom is in the academia and is coming in. I've seen the complaints of many Nigerians, and he's now coming with the wealth of experience, not just that he's been in the terms of the law cycle. So he's going to come in because he has an opportunity now to show and to address some of these concerns we've raised. Issues around the conclusive election, all these things are part of the technical aspect of it, right? And issues around logistics, which has always been one of the reasons why we see that it's very easy for us to have issues around vote buying, issues around credibility of the elections. It speaks with the whole volume on that aspect. But with someone like this who is coming in, 2027 is still far away. Of course, we have those off-season elections. We have those off-season elections. Anambra election is going to be next month now, and gives him a test, right, to try to see how far, because we are not going to say we are giving him an 100% scorecard ahead now. But what we can say is that with the credibility he's bringing in and understanding of other forms of leadership position that has been entrusted in him, and he has not failed.
I think Anambra election should not be a test for him.
Yeah,
it's too early because he's not even there yet, and you're talking about next month. So how does he put in his own ability to ensure that election is credible?
Yes, I do understand your concerns, right? So, but the thing is, somebody has to do the job, right? And somebody with the credibility has to do the job. Remember, for you to have an active citizens' participation and an inclusive governance, what ought to be is that you have to reinforce the hope and confidence of the participant or those who will be taking part in such electoral process. So if we are talking about us to have the Anambra upcoming election, what it means is that we need someone with the credibility to be able to mount that position. Remember, we still have some of the commissioners who are still in active service and who will do a proper brief to him, and even the resident electoral commissioners.
So you're saying with the help of the commissioners, he can do a better job or a good job?
Yes, he could leverage on those knowledge, right? And he would try that in the Anambra. Subsequently, in June 2026, then we'll talk about the Ekiti and
the 2027 election.
If I may ask you, don't you think that some of the commissioners should be allowed to go?
Well,
because we also need to do a review of the commissioners to see how they're faring. Some of them might just be saboteurs. I beg your pardon. I'm just saying might be. So he needs to also look at the credibility of people that are on ground working. Don't you think he needs to do a thorough check?
Yeah, my own assessment is that the new appointed chair, what is in his disposal now, his responsibility now will be to do a stock taking, to an assessment, to see the process at which he will be able to improve the electoral process. And he has a very huge responsibility that will touch on his integrity and will determine whether or not one of the problems we have in our country is maybe the leak from the legal.
We need to go on a break. We need to pay some bills.
Yeah.
When we come back from this commercial, we'll take more response.
In today's fast-paced world, staying ahead demands peak performance from our bodies.
Like never before, our bodies need an optimum supply of essential nutrients, and Supermalt supports our daily nutritional needs.
Supermalt has 20 essential vitamins, minerals, and natural extracts for overall health and wellness. One Supermalt a day gives you energy and vitality, improves your mental performance, and supports your immunity.
Good, tasty food is worth living for. Worried about your oil every time you enjoy your favorite meal? Introducing Smart Balance. Smart Balance rice bran oil is rich in gamma oryzanol. Several studies suggest that gamma oryzanol may contribute to the reduction of bad cholesterol. Golden Terra Smart Balance oil. Good food, no worries.
Sonia tomato mix, stand up. Is it to open? Is it to squeeze? Is it to scoop? And is it to stir? Dishes come alive with so much taste. Sonia tomato mix, of course. Sonia tomato mix, yes sir. Sonia tomato mix, stand up.
I'm in love. No, but with you, of course, my darling.
Sonia tomato mix in a new stand-up pouch.
It's still AM120, and we still have a guest, Barrister Olufemi Adenito, who is a lawyer, political scientist, and international relations expert with us in the studio. And before we went on that break, we were looking at, some of the challenges before the INEC chairman. Now, let me quickly take you through monitoring of political parties. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, INEC has abandoned that part. I use the word abandoned. INEC is supposed to oversee the activities of the political parties. But it seemed like INEC have too much to handle, and they cannot, be able to do that. Don't you think that role should be given to another body to actually manage a body that will be, a body that is partisan, that would do justice? Because whatever the political parties bring forward, that's what we all take to elections. And we need to take that part very seriously.
Yeah, you're quite right with your position. What I think here is that the INEC should now assume its responsibility properly, because over time we've seen that even in terms of the amount allocated for each political party to spend, they go beyond the threshold, and which has not a proper way of doing a monitoring and evaluation process has always been missing. And even in many times when the political parties default in certain provisions of the Electoral Act 2022, most times there is nobody goes after the political parties to enforce compliance on those when they default in those positions, right? So now with the new ascension of a new leadership of the commission, the idea will be the goal there will be that there will be a new shift, a new body language will be there, that this is someone who understand maybe how to source issues around monitoring, which for those who are also involved, those even moving a step ahead, talk about those who will be committing electoral malpractice. There will be effort in order to prosecute those persons, right? So with the experience from this professor, Joash Amopiton, the goal will be for him to make a strong statement, right? So that's correct. Previously, we've seen that the way it has not been very well, and that's what really affects the issues around democracy, because our democracy we are practicing, or the federal system we are practicing at the moment, it needs a very strong and firm leadership of the INEC chairman, of which with the current new INEC chairman who has been appointed, of course, it's not gone through the Senate yet, but once it's been confirmed, the man switched into action, and it makes a strong reform in terms of ensuring that things goes well according to what it ought to be, as stated in the guideline for election and the Electoral Act 2022.
Okay, so what are those steps you think the new chairman should, if confirmed or when confirmed, should start taking to ensure, we have various elections ahead of us, to ensure smooth process of those elections?
All right. So, number one, the new chairman, for instance, should be ensured that it holds a part of integrity and training and coordination. Number one, the part of integrity in terms of ensuring that everyone who works, there will be like a riot act that will be read to every member of the commission or the committee who are involved in elections at one point or the other, to understand that it's not going to be business as usual, that the public confidence and trust in the commission is missing. So there's a need for us to close the gap, right? So, and it's going to, the chairman will have to lead by example. Number two, he has to focus on issues around strengthening the issues of logistics, addressing the gap of logistics. Previously, logistics has always been a major concern in terms of arrival of voting materials, and all these kind of things has always affected and impeded on the previous elections, right? It has to be the responsible use of our technology, the BCOS, right, in ensuring that the BCOS machine becomes ultimately functional. There should be backup engineers, right? So in areas where the BCOS fails, there should be software engineers. We have very sound people. We can outsource that. We could have like a kind of a consultancy kind of relationship with those seasoned experts that is very vast in digital IT and information, to see how they could follow a backup on that. And we should also include the issue of artificial intelligence, AI, into the electoral process. So many things that could be addressed by AI, maybe manually, we will not be able to do that, because information has, AI has come to stay, technology has come to stay. That's another thing. 4, the issues around stakeholders' involvement, inclusive stakeholders' involvement, engagement should be encouraged and should be facilitated. Stakeholders' engagement in the form that all actors must be included in the process, and stakeholders must understand their responsibility, and the commission should be willing to take feedback.
I want you to expatiate on that stakeholder point.
Mm-hmm. So there's a concept called a responsible innovation framework, which has been very tested in the global north, that stakeholders have, scientists and policy experts have used over the years. So anticipation, inclusion, reflexivity, and responsiveness. So these four head dimension that I've just mentioned now must be seen to be practical in terms of ensuring that the agency, the commission, aggregates every civil society organization, political party, the faith-based organization, every other relevant actors responsible for elections that have a stake. What does stakeholder mean is that everyone who has a stake in the election, the voters do have a stake in the election, their voice must be included in the redesign or in any effort to improve the election. So, for instance, if people have made concerns that late arrival of materials in certain environment has been reason why it has disenfranchised voters, there should be effort at addressing those concerns. Again, my concern would be that in every other part of Nigeria where there are security concerns, like those middle belt region or those parts far areas in Benue and other parts that have issues with conflicts, Zamfara, other parts, Borno, the INEC chairman should devise a means to address those issues around how do electoral material gets to those people, issues around internet communication, how do you upload those results? Because major concerns, just to land on that, is that the BCOS is the only accredited means where you should do accreditation and should transmit results. And technically you want, it's only when those accreditations is done and the transmission of those results that will guarantee the authenticity of the results that comes around.
And okay, this brings me to the issue of finances now.
Yes.
You know, if you are talking about logistics, security, and every other issue surrounding the good performance of the commission, it still boils down to the funds. Yeah. And sometimes, you know, the commission says funds have not been disbursed. And this brings us to financial autonomy. I asked Dr. Stephen this question also. What are the ways you think the commission should begin to generate income itself and not solely rely on the federal government for smooth process of elections in Nigeria?
Yeah, basically the commission has seen an improvement with the Electoral Act that came to light in February 2022, sent by the President Buhari, and that particular act, that particular instrument, has already in Section 3, subsection 3 of that particular provision, already released the autonomy a little bit from the way it ought to be. So it was not business. It's not business as usual as it ought to. It usually is. The major concerns that so many people or persons have raised is in terms of how do the INEC as an institution function optimally without interference or without the infractions we've seen in the previous 2023 elections, because that election particularly is one of the most contested elections that we have seen in our current dispensation, Fourth Republic. So it should be an improvement, not like I said back previously. Taiwo Jega administration did excellently well, where we are looking forward that the outgone INEC chairman, which is Ahmad Yakubu, could have improved on. But with this, it's not really the case, because there has been an autonomy, which said levels of autonomy as the constitution has stipulated, right? So the issue around finance was never the issue for the 2023 election. Finances was not the problem. What the problem was around issues around logistics, around what people will say in terms of last-minute cancellation, because we've seen even previously that in 2019, we had that there was a shift in election dates, and it happened even in 2015, right? So, but in this current one, what we want to see is that a proper planning ought to be done so that we don't have issues around inconsistency, and that might also lead to inconclusive elections and all these kind of things.
Okay, so let's look at it. How can this new, the incoming INEC chairman build, confidence of the Nigerians such that everyone will be excited when election is coming, which would also reduce vote apathy and possibly reduce vote buying and selling?
Yes, okay, that's good. Number one is going to come by voters' orientation, sensitization, right? So there must be an active orientation, sensitization of the general public must be made to understand that they are they are stakeholders, and their vote will count this time. And there must be, and INEC do have a responsibility to conduct a proper orientation and sensitization across. And this must not be done in isolation. The civil society organization must be brought on deck. They should be involved. They should participate in the whole process, in the whole value chain, in ensuring that as we move towards a new form of regime in terms of this, there must be conscious effort in improving the electoral systems, right?
Okay, I still want us to talk about the issue of confidence, rebuilding confidence. You basically talked about stakeholders and sensitization. But do you think sensitization and having stakeholders meeting is going to do it for us in Nigeria, and not maybe a matter of when we see it happening, then we believe?
It's a long way. We don't underestimate the potential of the stakeholders engagement, because that's how people become part of the system. When you are not excluded from the conversation, for instance, when the decision is being made, for instance, in this organization, and you are part, you have a voice in terms of the contribution, then you are not going to be left out. You don't feel very disenfranchised when a decision is made, right? So when everyone gets a voice in the process, in the decision-making process, right? So it makes you that's even a part of the democracy. It also shows that INEC is ready to engage the stakeholders, engage the actors. And when I mean stakeholders, it goes back to the common citizenry. Everyone, the common man on the street, must have a voice, must have something to say about how do they think that they are able to improve the current electoral system, right? And those are the feedback that INEC will take, and that can be done across states, right? And because the INEC do have the funds available to do this, right? So once you are able to coordinate that in relationship with the civil society organization and all other actors who are few concerned, right? Because the whole idea is that we want to have an election that would not go through that route of contestation, as we've seen in the previous era, right? We want to see an improvement in the new electoral system, right, in Nigeria, and we don't want to see that in the previous, the way the issues has not been very good, right? So we could take a leaf from what we've seen in the developed society, right? Every time that in the current administration.
Okay. Yeah, I also take you on this. The media has been playing a significant role when it comes to electioneering process in Nigeria. And one would have said that the media has done well in partnering with INEC. What area do you think that the media should still work on to support INEC to get to that level that we're all anticipating for?
Yeah, so like a good question you have said now, the media is also a stakeholder. Like I said, everyone who have a stake in the election is a stakeholder. We want to see democracy